Hi, my name's Roisin from Sweet Eve Signs, and today I'm going to talk you through 3 different techniques that you can use to make shaker cake toppers, including foam sheets, foam tape and paper stripe. You will need £110 cardstock or £65 for a stripe, acetate, foam sheets, paper stripe or stripes, foam tape, shaker mix. You will also need glues, including hot glue, a silicone-based glue and a PVA-based glue with a fine metal tip. I use Beacon's 3-in-1 and art glitter glue. You can also use Barely Arts. Lastly, a non-stick scissors. For the foam tape technique, you need your acetate, your base and your border, your foam tape. Make sure to clean your acetate using window cleaner and kitchen towel. You can also use Windex wipes. This just prevents the static and stops the shaker mix from sticking to the acetate. Now take your foam tape and just roughly guess how much you're going to need. Always best to cut too much than too little. Take the base of your shaker and apply the foam tape around the base, making sure to stay just on the edge of the circle. Trim off any excess that you may have, making sure that you do not have any gaps between the start and the end of the tape. If you look here, you can see there's absolutely no gaps. Just press down firmly to make sure that the foam tape is attached to the base. If you wanted to have a higher shaker, you could easily just add another layer of foam tape on top of this one. But in this instance, this is fine. Now you're going to add in your shaker mix. Until you get the desired amount. And then you're going to slowly remove the tape cover, just leaving a small section at the top. Snip away the cover excess with your scissors. Now grab your acetate and place it on top of the foam tape, aligning it as much as possible with the base of the circle, and just use your fingers to push it all down. I normally use a brayer to make sure that it's fully sealed, but this step is optional. Now I can have a look at how much shaker mix I have in, and if I decide actually I want to add a little bit more, because I've left this little space, I could in theory add or remove any of the shaker mix until I get the desired amount. So then I would remove the last cover and again make sure that it's fully sealed using your fingers, and if you have a brayer as well. Now you're going to take the border of your circle. You want the border of your circle to be slightly bigger than the base. You can see here there's a bit of a gap where the outline is slightly bigger. The reason being is if you decided to use one that was the same size as the circle, you would see that some of your foam tape may stick out of the side. So having it slightly bigger just means that the tape is completely hidden, and it will mean that you have a much cleaner look. Now use hot glue to attach your border to the back of your shaker. If you're not confident with this, I would suggest you could also think about using a silicone-based glue because it doesn't dry as quickly. So I use Beacon's 3-in-1 silicone glue. And here you have it. This is a foam tape shaker. You can see it's very pretty. It's quite thin, but it does the trick. The pros of the foam tape are it's inexpensive, easy and quick, flexible to any shape, no glue is required, you get a clean look, and you can adjust your shaker quantity. Plus there's no extra cut. The cons of the foam tape is that it's not very deep. For the foam sheet technique, you'll need acetate, your base and your border, and your foam border. You want foam that's not too thin so that it can give you a good amount of depth. Take the base of your shaker and align with your foam border. I use Beacon's glue for this because I find that it has more slippage. If you use hot glue, it will stick very quickly and you won't be able to move it into place exactly. Now adjust and make sure you let it dry thoroughly. If you wanted a higher shaker, you could add more layers of foam, repeating these steps. Make sure you get all the shaker mix into the circle. Now we're going to add our acetate. But check this out, guys, I'm about to make a massive mistake. Can you work out what it is? I didn't clean my acetate. So when you don't clean your acetate, this is what happens. All of the confetti and sprinkles and sparkle will stick to your acetate. So I'm going to clean my acetate using window cleaner or Windex wipes and clean it and dry with a kitchen towel. Now I'm going to go back in and fix the mess that I made. I'm just going to make sure that I remove anything that's stuck to the foam border because that will prevent the acetate sticking nicely. I'm going to add a bit more confetti in because I lost some in the process. Now I'm going to take my hot glue and I'm going to hot glue only half of the border. The reason being, if I go all the way around, the glue will just get dry very quickly. So this way I can make sure that I stick half of the acetate down where I need it to be. I wouldn't recommend using silicone glue for this because it's too slippery and also it will take a long time to dry. Add hot glue to the other side. Now I'm going to add my border. So I'm just aligning it nicely to see where I want it roughly to go. Then I'm going to use hot glue. Again, this time I'm going to go all the way around, but you can do half and half method. Or if you're not confident with using hot glue, then use silicone glue and just make sure that you let it dry. Now I'm going to line it up and make sure that you can't see any of the foam sheet. This is the foam sheet technique. As you can see, it's quite similar to the foam tape technique. But the difference being is that you can use any colour that matches your theme. The pros of the foam sheet technique are it's easy to use, flexible to any shape, you can get a clean look, and you can adjust the shaker mix. The cons of the foam sheet are it's expensive and wasteful. It can lose shape when cut. Glue is required, it's not as deep, and you require an additional blade. For the paper stripe technique, you'll need acetate, your base and your border, and your paper stripe or stripes. As always, I'm going to start out by cleaning my acetate. Then I'm going to grab my paper stripe and I'm going to fold the tabs inward. In this instance, I have 2 paper stripes because I don't like a lot of wastage, and I find that I can only cut short pieces of stripes on an A4 piece of paper. But if you have a 12 by 12 piece and you're happy to go diagonally across, you could cut out 1 long stripe and it would fit the base of the circle all the way around. Now you can see that the tabs go underneath the base of your shaker. So you need to grab your glue. I always use silicone glue because, as I said, it has a lot of slippage and it doesn't dry very quickly. Just make sure that every single tab is coated in glue. Then you're going to stick the base of your shaker to the bottom tabs. Really do take your time with this, and remember that with silicone glue you have quite a lot of time before it dries to be able to adjust. I would also suggest using your fingers to press down to make sure that the base of the tab is connected to the base of the shaker. You may need to hold it in place slightly. Now just slip it over and make sure that all the tabs are down flat and that there are absolutely no gaps where the glitter could escape. Now I'm going to add my second stripe. As you can see, there are some little tabs at the end of each of your stripes, which will be where you connect the flat part of the other end of the stripe to make a seamless look. I'm just going to take my stripe and I'm going to work out roughly how much I need. I usually cut just a little bit more just to be on the safe side. Snip off the excess and then repeat the process again. Use your silicone glue to make sure you glue each tab thoroughly. Then connect the base of your tabs to the base of the shaker and cut off any excess. Make sure that there isn't any gaps and that you hold it thoroughly until it dries. Again, flip over and make sure that every single tab is securely attached. And if you find any gaps, continue to fill them in. In this instance, I'm going to use a fine tip to be able to just get into this little space here and make sure that I can glue it down. Check to make sure that there's no gaps, and if there are, sometimes you may need to fill them in with hot glue because otherwise you will get some leakage. Now, flatten each of your tabs. This is really important to make sure that the acetate sits flatly on top of the paper stripe. Add in your shaker mix. Now, one of the positives about this technique is that it's very deep, and therefore if you wanted to use bulkier items, it's much easier to do so. So I'm going to add some really pretty pearls and little diamonds and gems. I'm also going to add some charms. So here I've just got this heart charm. I've got a little sweet charm and another one. If you were to use the other techniques, you wouldn't be able to fit these in. Now, I'm going to get my silicone glue and my acetate and make sure that I glue down every single tab. I would not recommend using hot glue for this because it would dry way too quickly and also you wouldn't be able to adjust. So now put your acetate on top and just push the tabs in and make sure that there are no gaps where the acetate isn't filling or where there's gaps at the edge where the shaker mix could escape. Now I'm going to add on my border. I'm going to use hot glue as I always do, but again, silicone glue is an option. I'm doing half to make sure that I line it up exactly where I need it to be. I'm just going to press down and then add hot glue on the other side. And there you have it. This is the paper stripe technique. As you can see, there's a lot of depth in this shaker, and you can easily match it to your theme. You could even add some ribbon or diamantes to the sides, and it's just a really cool look. The pros of the paper stripe technique are it's inexpensive, there's a lot of depth, there's a clean look, and you can match it to your theme. The cons are an SVG is required, it's very fiddly, you need to make extra cuts, sizing and gaps can be tricky, you need the right card weight, and you need additional scoring tool or scoring wheel. So here are the 3 different techniques: foam tape, foam sheet and paper stripe. Please comment below and let me know which one you think you're going to try first, or if you already make shakers, what are your go-tos? Thanks for watching my video. Please make sure to like, subscribe and comment, and let me know if you have any special requests. Take care and see you soon.